Hi from Pasadena, California, and welcome back to Cardinal Territory. Katie and Bernie here for you on Tuesday, August 5th. A great win for the Cardinals yesterday over the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Honestly, I thought it was one of their best games of the season, and it was a much needed, much appreciated performance after the last week or so of just disappointing news, trade deadline drama. And, it's never easy to come out and play after a sell-off, but I thought what the Cardinals showed on Monday was a lot of fight, and I really enjoyed the win. Bernie, what do you got today?
Well, they kept me engaged until the wee small hours of the morning. Well, not exactly that, but for late night viewing, it was entertaining. I didn't get distracted. I thought it was a heck of a game, and the Cardinals, Sonny Gray, and the other relievers, they took advantage of a Dodgers offense that has really been down. I mean, really been down. And so they did what they had to do, and they won the game, and they scored 3 runs against good staff. I had fun watching. That's all I have to say, because there's going to be so many other things that we'll get into today in the relatively brief time we have, because you're busy and I'm busy, but we love doing this.
It's, August, I feel like, as people think, is like such a slow time because you're post-trade deadline. And it's kind of true, but not really. I mean, I feel like I'm all over the place. And speaking of all over the place, the Cardinals roster, let's talk about it. Up at The Athletic, broke it down this morning. As the Cardinals transition to 2026, prioritizing playing time continues to be not a coaching problem, not a manager problem, a roster construction problem. And we saw this with Oli Marmol yesterday when he was talking to reporters in St. Louis. I said, hey, at the risk of being redundant, because I asked you this question Saturday and Sunday, and I'm going to ask you again today, why is this player not in your lineup, and how are you balancing XYZ? You can plug in any different player, whether it's Burleson, Herrera, Nootbaar, Walker, Gorman, take your pick. And he essentially said that Alec Burleson has solidified himself in the everyday roster. Everyone else there is going to have to be, or in the everyday lineup, everybody else there is going to have to be a rotation for. The problem with that is that no matter who you talk about, whether they are in the lineup or not, whether, again, it's Walker or Gorman or Nootbaar or Burleson or Herrera, I can make an argument and I can see both sides as to why they should be in the lineup and why they should not be in the lineup, which player it's coming at the expense of, which player you want to see more of no matter what. There's an argument to be made for all of these guys and not enough spots. And it is a problem that the Cardinals are trying to find a solution for, but there is no mathematical solution to make this work. But that's the hand Oli Marmol's been dealt over the final 8 weeks of the season, Bernie. I don't see how he does this here and makes everybody happy. How do you?
No, exactly. I mean, Oli is in a really difficult spot, and I know some Cardinals fans don't like him; they don't want to hear it, but it really is true. And we had Oli on with us as we every Tuesday on KMOX, and we were asking him about the lineup, and the very same type of conversation that you had with him yesterday. And he explained like how, for example, Burleson's not coming out of the lineup. He's doing a great job. He's not going to like move him out or reduce his playing time. And with the other guys, it's more of a case-by-case basis. But to your point, the conclusion is there's just not enough at-bats to go around for all the people that he would love to play every single day. Like, I'm one of the people that believes, look, the season's over competitively. You got to play Jordan Walker every day. You got to play Gorman every day. You got to get Gorman in there even against some left-handed pitchers, because this is a perfect time to do it. All that kind of stuff, right? And now it sounds good. It's easy for me to say, right? It sounds good. But it's probably not realistic. And like Ali said today, pretty much whatever decision I make, someone is going to be left out. Mm-hmm. And there are going to be people, basically criticizing the decision, which is okay. But, what he was trying to say, it's far from a perfect situation. And he's got to deal with it the best that he can. And gosh, Chaim Bloom, please, buddy. Well, he's not my buddy, but please, can you clear up these log jams, and can you make some roster decisions that's just going to kind of put this particular problem, which has been a big problem, just to put it behind them? They can't go on, and they can't go into another season like this. They just can't.
No, they can't. And that's why I think I'm so intrigued by this offseason, because as we look at the current roster crunch, this is not a problem regulated to the active roster or the 40-man. AAA is barren with many of the same type of players that we're seeing on the active roster. I mean, look at it. The Cardinals have Ivan Herrera in left field in a way because they needed to alleviate the DH and try to have more flexibility there. They're going to try to play Nolan Gorman in Nolan Arenado's absence. We'll get to him every day. But Nolan Gorman has looked stiff as a board at the hot corner. But they need to play him at third to open up more opportunity for other players. By moving Herrera out of the DH every day, you kind of create that opportunity for Gorman, but you also create a new problem because you're adding another corner outfielder to a mix of corner outfielders, all of whom can't play center field. So you move Herrera out of the DH, and now all of a sudden you're jamming up Burleson, Nootbaar, Walker. Those guys are just as important. You can put Nootbaar in center at the expense of Victor Scott, who is the only true center fielder on the roster and is someone the Cardinals want to build around regardless of the slump. Like, it doesn't work. And it's not just the lineup that's going to be impacted. It's the entire roster. And that's why when Chaim Bloom comes in the offseason, it will be so important for him to start making moves and, actually creating opportunity for playing guys and not just having the same redundant roster we've seen for years now. I mean, it's the same problem every year. His work is cut out for him. And we've said this before on this show. I don't know what that's going to look like. We can maybe draw some parallels to his time with Boston, but this is an entirely different roster he's inheriting. And Bernie, I think if we have the opportunity to talk to him, he would tell fans, this is going to be a lengthy process. This is no longer a reset. Yeah. This is a rebuild. And that's what fans need to hear because we'll say it. Right. That's what's going on.
Right. No, it's already started. I mean, this year basically was the start of a rebuild. They can say runway, but what is a rebuild? A rebuild is when you give priority status to younger players at the expense of maybe some veterans who you have concluded are just not that good. But they're going to take it to the next level. And I keep saying rebuild is not a dirty word because no one, Katie Woo's not saying this. Bernie Miklasz is not saying this. No one with the Cardinals is saying this. Oh, we're going to blow this thing up. We're going to blow it to smithereens. It'll be unrecognizable. No, they're not doing that. They don't have to do that. Because there's good talent. There's enough good talent, not great talent, but there's enough good talent to work with and to build on. But they just have to make really smart decisions. But listen, Katie, and I'm telling you what and you've been around doing this since 2021. The Cardinals reached the end of an era in the 2022 season. That was it. That was the end of this era. It closes the whole book on, La Russa, Pujols, Molina, Wainwright. I mean, and all the other great Cardinals that came before them. That's over. That you weren't going to sustain it. It wasn't going to happen. So at some point, at the end of this incredible era, you're going to have a come down. Now, the Cardinals deserve criticism for letting some things happen. It shouldn't have gotten to the point that it is. They shouldn't have neglected the player development system which used to be their pride and joy. They shouldn't have made so many bad spending decisions. I mean, they forgot how to develop pitchers, or they didn't try enough. They lost whatever their mojo they had. They lost it. So that stuff's on them. But this idea that like a team like the Cardinals, who even during their greatest times of winning, basically I did the research on this earlier this season, under Bill DeWitt, the Cardinals have averaged about number 11 in the rankings in payroll, right? They're never going to spend with the Dodgers. No, they're never going to spend with the Mets.
And they've always said that.
Right. And the thing of it is, but they won world championships with being able to spend the way that generally they've spent. So my point is, and I'm not criticizing fans at all because fans can do what they want, but I'm just saying it's really unrealistic when the Cardinals have kind of got themselves into this mess. They're going to have to they're going to have to dig their way out of it. And that will take time. And they've put off rebuilding. This is basically the third year of rebuilding. They're already 3 years into it. So my question to fans is, if you say, well, no, I don't want to rebuild or whatever. Well, what, you want to continue down this path and stay stuck in the middle where you're like kind of okay? Maybe we'll get a wild card spot. Is that what you want? No, they've got to replant this thing and renovate this thing and replenish this thing over time. It does not happen in a season or two. But I don't know. I mean, after this incredible success, a few years of being down, I mean, it ain't baseball hell. You know what it is? It's absolutely necessary.
It is. And that's what
So
fans want to hear. And
right.
I can't speak for Heimblum and his front office, whatever that looks like. But I think there's an understanding here that
Right.
they need to nail the transparency. This fan base
Yes.
knows what's going on. And that's why there is such apathy around the team, even in the first half of the season where they were competing, because they knew what was going on. And the current front office could not just be transparent and call it what it was. They used every possible word except rebuild. Uh, and it was never a tear down. Like, it's okay
No.
to acknowledge that over the last 3 years, hey, we dropped the ball. We have to get this right. And it's fair for fans to say, how did this happen in the first place? The organization should have been transparent instead of trying to sweep it under the rug. I mean,
Right.
I can't even imagine what that end of season press conference would have been last year if the problems in the organization weren't so thoroughly exposed. Fans deserve transparency, and that's the first test for this new front office in the Heimblum regime to come out an ace. They have to be honest with what's going on here. Look, Bernie, I'll wrap up the segment quickly. I knew in 2022, when the Cardinals had 2 MVP candidates, an actual MVP in Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado finished 3rd that year, Yadier Molina's last year, Albert Pujols was back, and not just back, but hitting 700. And at the deadline, the Cardinals got Jordan Montgomery and Jose Quintana. And those were good trades.
Yeah.
But that's what they did. That's what they did. And they were a division champion. They were built offensively to last. And the only thing the Cardinals did was bolster, in quotes, their rotation with 2 middle of the rotation arms. I knew at that trade deadline, this was not an organization that saw a future of competitive, and they were going to try their best to do so. But the writing was on the wall at that trade deadline. So,
right. No, I agree with you. And I'll just really quickly throw this in because I talked about it on one of my videos, because you and I are absolutely on the same page. These Heimblum has got to move away from what the Cardinals have been trying to do, but trying to convince their fans, or no, we're trying to be competitive. We think we can get in the playoffs. These fans want the truth. They may not like the truth, but they need to hear it. These fans do not deserve to be talked to straightforward, no BS. This is what the plan is. We ask for your patience. When we come through it, we're going to be better because of it. And the last thing, oh my gosh, the worst thing Heimblum would do, and I believe he's a lot smarter than this, is to come out and kind of recycle do a remix of the best of Mozeliak,
I don't know if he's gonna do that.
yeah, like you don't want to do like here's Heimblum doing a cover version of the best of John Mozeliak. No, you don't want that, right?
Right.
They have to have a great message, and it's got to be an honest message. And I think a lot of fans will say, at least they're being straight with me now, and I can get behind this if I see progress. Correct. If you see guys like J.J. Weatherholt waiting in the wings, and Liam Doyle and Quinn Matthews and some other people, right? And if you make some trades and you clear up these log jams and you find some young starting pitching, you develop your own starting pitching. I'm not saying they're going to fill Busch Stadium as soon as they see some progress, because so much damage has been done to this franchise. But you got to begin the process of renewing this brand and this competitive product. You've got to renew it. And renewal, isn't done like overnight. So I am 100% endorse what the Cardinals are doing, because I've been hollering that it's overdue and it's absolutely necessary.
Agreed, Bernie. Claps all around. Hey, a quick message from our sponsor here at Built Rewards, and then we'll get into our next Nolan Arenado segment. I know he's been a hot topic for a lot of you fans, so stick with us. We'll be right back.
Kratz, there are a lot of people out there that pay rent and they don't get anything for it.
Might as well change that. You can get some rewards for flights, hotels, tons of stuff.
With Built, you can earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards airlines, hotels, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and much more. It doesn't stop there. Built is about making your entire neighborhood more rewarding. You can dine out at your favorite local restaurants and enjoy experiences just for Built members every month. They're turning a monthly expense into an opportunity to earn rewards and discover the best that your neighborhood has to offer. Your rent is finally working for you. Earn points on rent and around your neighborhood, wherever you call home, by going to joinbuilt.com/foul. That's joinbilt.com/FOUL. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/foul. Go for it.
All right, as we know, prior to this SoCal swing road trip, Nolan Arenado was placed on the 10-day IL with a right shoulder strain. Still no update as to what that looks like. I imagine the Cardinals will have more information when we get back to Busch Stadium on Friday for a 3-series homestand. I believe it is Cubs, Rockies, Yankees. So that'll be a big one. Yankees going through it right now. But for Nolan Arenado, I mean, this is a player who would be the first to say this was not how he thought 2025 was going to go down for him personally. And he has done an exceptional job of wearing it publicly, saying the right things, being a good teammate. I know that he's not exactly like, he's never been that type of rally behind you leader. He leads by how he plays. And when he's not playing well, he takes that to heart. The offense does not look good. I believe the shoulder played into that, especially in July. When he comes back, because I don't think this is an injury that's going to sideline him for the rest of the season, what are the Cardinals going to do with him? Bernie, you had a really good conversation with Oli Marmol today on KMOX about the Nolan Arenado situation. What's the manager thinking here?
You know, I thought that Oli needed to address this because people like me have been running our mouths about the situation because it is a terrible situation for a manager of a baseball team. You have a future Hall of Fame player. Listen, we all know that Nolan Arenado, his best years are behind him. He's in a steep decline. The power's gone. I mean, this is not going to get any better. It just isn't. And he's going to be old. It's going to be 35 next year, 36 the season after that. He still plays good defense, but some of the metrics indicate even that has kind of slipped a little bit. And the Cardinals also have players that they want to play. Like, where's J.J. Weatherholt going to go? And he's an infielder because no matter where you deploy him, someone else is going to have to move, you know. How do they possibly accommodate Nolan Arenado and give him 500, 550 plate appearances and also play the young guys in a rebuild situation, right? They can't. So I just thought, I said to Oli, I said, man, I just think people want to hear you explain this because you're in a tough spot. And what he said, and I didn't write it all down, but I would encourage people to go to, KMOX or go to the YouTube channel and you can listen to what he said about it. But he basically said, while he's here, Arenado, while he's here, he needs to play. And Oli made it very clear that he will play. It's not going to be like, no, hey, Nolan, we got to put you on the bench. We got to play Gorman. We got to find out if he can play third base.
Yeah, that's not
it's not going to happen. And he said, look, this guy's a Hall of Fame player. He is a team leader. He's a leader of our team. He's one of the most highly respected baseball players out there. He will play. Now, people have to understand something, because it's easy for me to say, well, this is a ridiculous situation. He can't play because you won't be because you won't be able to. There's no point in a rebuild if he is stuck at third base. But the point is even though, I would say to Oli Marmol, like, well, it's okay to say no. You can say that you're not going to play as much. Okay, that's easy for Bernie Miklasz to say. Yeah, he's the guy, that has to run the team. As I said afterwards when we were reviewing all this, I said, listen, the Nolan Arenado problem must be solved at a level higher and above Oli Marmol. That has to be done at the Heimblum level and the Bill DeWitt level. And it's going to lead to one way or the other. It's going to cost the Cardinals a lot of money. They're going to either just about pay, maybe 75% of what's left if some team wants him. Or Bill DeWitt is going to have to step up and he's going to have to say, in effect, well, we have to start this rebuild, so let's just pay up. Let's just give him all the money owed to him and then we'll thank him and blah, blah, blah. That's the only way this ends. Because seriously, Katie, this, man, I'm talking to somebody who knows this very, very well. There's no peaceful way out. You're not going to get a team that's going to take him on in this terrible decline he's in, and assume 42 million guaranteed money the next 2 years. It's just not going to happen. And they would want him for this defense, but it's like, well, do we want to pay $42 million for defense? Probably not. So this thing will not end well. There won't be a happy ending, is what I'm trying to say. But I think this gets back to the transparency issue. The Cardinals just can't do this thing. Heimblum can't do this thing where they're going to come out and try to put a positive spin on it when there really isn't a positive spin. Now, Oli can, because he has a different job. but there's no way the math works if Nolan Arenado is at third base for 130, 140, 145 games. It doesn't work.
I think you're spot on. And this is not a John Mozeliak decision. It is not a Chaim Bloom decision. It's a Bill DeWitt Jr. decision. It's a money decision. And that's why there was such a hard time for the Cardinals when they tried to trade Arenado over last offseason. The Astros deal, the reason why the Astros deal was perfect from the Cardinals' perspective, not the player perspective, was because Houston was willing to eat a significant amount of money. And then when Arenado declined, what did the Astros do? They turned around and committed 3 years and $60 million to Christian Walker, which was at that point in time roughly about the exact same money that Arenado was owed for the remainder of his contract. So they were willing to pay the money. And that's why there was so much frustration internally, because John Mozeliak is no idiot. He knew no other team was going to match the money. And his primary goal, objective from his boss, because yes, I know we are frustrated with Mo. He has a boss too.
Sure.
And his boss gave him very clear orders, and he'll never say this, but we can, that the money needed to go with him. It wasn't about the return. It was about taking as much of the money off the books. The Cardinals no longer have that luxury to be picky. If they want to do this rebuild the right way, and they want to do right by this player, a future Hall of Famer who they convinced to sign his final opt-out clause and did nothing to build the club after that.
Right.
They need to move on from him.
It's
the best thing for all parties involved. It is a sad way for Nolan Arenado to go out of St. Louis. I mean, I think everyone, including himself, had so much higher hopes for what this team would look like, for what his performance would look like. And I don't want to discredit him. And in 2022, he finished third in NL MVP voting, multiple All-Star, multiple Gold Glove, that the organization did not build behind him for. So the best thing for this ownership group to do is cut their losses, embrace the rebuild, eat the money, do right by the player. That, I think, is going to be one of the first things that the new front office takes over in the offseason.
When a great player goes into decline, and I've been through this in my career as a media observer, it's never pretty, it's never easy, it's often ugly. It's just, what are you going to do? I won't go over. We don't have time. People would be bored with my old stories anyway. But here's the deal. So they have to just accept that this is the reality, and they can't duck it, because if they duck it, then you're going to go to fans and say, "Look, we want your patience. We're going to come out of this in a better way. We're going to rebuild. We're really excited about the opportunity to do this." And then you have Nolan Arenado there hitting 220 with a 338 slugging percentage or whatever. It just, no, it would contradict the message they want to send this offseason. So Bill DeWitt's got to step up. And let me just throw this in here really quick. So I did some research. First of all, let's remember something. When we say, well, it's a lot of money for Bill, first of all, Bill has it. He'll be okay.
All right.
But when they made the trade with Colorado, Bill DeWitt personally negotiated the financial terms with Charlie Monfort, the Rockies owner. And Bill DeWitt got the Rockies to send about $51 million to St. Louis to defray the cost of the remaining contract. $51 million. So you got Arenado at a discounted price anyway to begin with, right? And then Bill DeWitt through the years, it's never been anything this big, but I added something up. They've had like 6 or 7 players that are sunken cost players, where they traded Dexter Fowler, they traded Mike Leake, and they ate money to do so. But there were other guys that they just released and they ate the money. So the sunken costs, I figured this out. Bill DeWitt, as the owner, and this is just the minimal amount, there's probably more. He has basically signed off on $50 million of sunken costs on players that they wanted to get rid of. So it's not like he hasn't done this before. I just think, and I know you agree, it's really an urgent time to do it again. And yeah, if it's going to be a bigger amount, too bad. Too bad.
Correct.
Yeah.
The most urgent time was to do it over the offseason.
Yeah.
But it needs to happen now.
And listen, I'm not dogging Nolan Arenado. He got the no trade protection for a reason. But I've had some fans say, like, I really feel sorry for him. I feel bad for him that they didn't build around him. I also feel bad for him and Goldschmidt. 4 years together, not one playoff victory. And by the way, those two guys didn't do much.
Correct. That's fair.
They were pretty bad in the postseason during their 4 years together. But I can't sit here and say, I really can't. I'm not a heartless guy, but I can't sit here and say, Poor Nolan Arenado. Listen, he had a chance to get out, and he had a chance to get to a good team. And their general manager tried to tell him, no, you're misreading the Tucker trade. Our owner's not like this. Our owner wants to win. We've got a lot of talent. We're going for it. We're going to bring in other. And, Arenado had the right to do it, but I'm just saying, I can't have a pity party for him. He had his ticket out of the situation to go to a better team, and he turned it down.
Hey, say what you want about Jim Crane. That's an owner who wants to win.
Yeah.
It's a mess for the Arenado situation. Hopefully we'll have an injury update for him. Again, this is just my speculation, but I do think we'll see him in a Cardinal uniform at some point before the end of the season. And then after that, and I mean this with all the respect for someone who I've covered since day one in St. Louis and has been nothing but a total pro. It's time to go. Quick message from our partners at DraftKings, and we'll wrap up this episode. Stay with us. The dog days of summer are here, and in Missouri, that means it's baseball season in full swing. Whether you're up in Kansas City or St. Louis, it's your time to shine and score big. Download the Pick Six app, the easiest way to turn your baseball takes into cold, hard cash. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules. And for folks in the Show Me State, there's something special. New Pick Six players in Missouri can jump in for free. Download the app, sign up, and you'll get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Don't miss out on this limited time offer, Missouri. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app right now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Register a new account and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside, where a few bucks can turn into a bag, only on DraftKings Pick Six. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. Register new Pick Six account to receive $50 in bonus picks that expire in 7 days. Ends 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, coming at you tonight from Dodger Stadium. Game 2 of this series, Miles Michaelis versus Emmett Sheehan. Tommy Edman went on the IL on Monday for the Dodgers, so that was unfortunate with an ankle sprain. Cardinals seem to be all good on that injury front from there. I'm excited for Wednesday's game because Shohei is pitching, and you guys know I love Shohei Ohtani. And then a much-needed off day for everybody involved before the Cubs come back and to Busch Stadium, and we kick off the dog days of summer. The dog days of summer do span from the day after the trade deadline to when rosters expand. For us here in St. Louis, the dog days are going to expand until the final game of the regular season. It is what it is. Bernie, anything you got cooking that you want fans to read?
No, I just I direct everyone to go to STL Sports Central. I got columns. I've got videos. Also, check me out on the Gas House Gang and Redbird Rush Hour and Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX. Seeing Red podcast with Will Leach. And, of course, working with the great Katie Woo a couple of times on Cardinal Territory. So that's it.
He's a busy man, popular demand.
I stay in this office all day. Every now and then there's a quiet knock on the door, and my wife will bring in a tray. I'm basically like a prisoner. It's what they do. They slide it in. Here's your food.
We are all prisoners to Cardinals baseball at this point.
Yeah.
So everyone, you can visit the CardinalTerritoryShop.com for your first look at our new merch. I said it on the last show. I'll repeat it. We are so close to 5,000 subscribers. Once we get there, we'll do a giveaway for you all. But we got to get there. We got to subscribe. You can get your orders in now. Shirts, quarter zips, sweatshirts, bags, coffee mugs. I just ordered 2. So get on there, get some merch, rep your hopefully favorite show. Bernie and I will be back with you at some point later this week. I'm actually off for the Cubs series after the trade deadline. I was very thankful to get the off day plus 3 more. So I won't be boots on the ground after the LA series, but I'll be back at Busch Stadium on next Monday. Bernie, hopefully I'll see you soon. Thanks as always for watching Cardinal Territory, guys. See you next week.